Hey guys, I got a new video for you today, and we're going to be looking at a new flashlight that I've been testing out for a couple of weeks now. This is obviously from Wowtac. They were gracious enough to send this guy over so I can check it out. There is a couple of videos already on this flashlight on YouTube, but I wanted to give you guys my opinions on it specifically because it falls into a category that I normally wouldn't carry a flashlight like. In other words, I tend to stick to smaller, kind of pocketable EDC lights, and this particular light is a little bit different, but I really enjoyed carrying it, and I can definitely see it becoming part of my EDC in one way or another. So again, this is from Wowtac. This model is called the A5, and as you guys see here from the box, it says technically supported by ThruNite. I've been actually using ThruNite flashlights and reviewing them since they actually came onto the scene. And then they came out with Wowtac as another brand, and I'm glad to say that they continued the great quality with the low pricing on the lights, and that's what makes these lights so great. They're really good quality, a lot of features, a lot of output on them, and the price is still kept very low. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Again, this is the A5 model. Now inside of the box you have the flashlight itself, which is right in here. Take this little piece of foam out. You have your user manual here, and I always recommend kind of going through it just so you can see the different outputs and things like that. I'll show it to you guys real quick if you guys want to pause it and see what the different outputs is. But this particular light has a turbo output of 3,650 lumens, so you're getting a lot of light out of this flashlight, which is really awesome. Now I believe that this is actually the brightest flashlight that I have as far as in my inventory, so definitely that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to kind of check it out and test it out. So it does have a rechargeable battery, so they do include the micro USB charger in there, and then you also have the this little bag that has a lanyard and a couple spare O-rings and a spare little kind of door for the micro USB port where you would normally charge the light. So that is pretty much all that is in there. I'll go ahead and take the flashlight out of here and set this off to the side. Now, one thing that you didn't notice in the box, and which I've come to see a lot of ThruNite flashlights and Wowtac flashlights, is a holster. They generally tend to bring a holster, especially if the light is a little bit bigger, or for the most part, just to give you a couple different ways of carrying the light. So that was not present in there, which is interesting. Also, there's no pocket clip to this light. Now, that's one of the things that I wish maybe in another revision they would add at least the pocket clip. I know it's a little bit of a bigger light, especially if you're going to be carrying it in your pocket, but I think it does, again, give you that extra way of carrying it. So they do include the lanyard, which is great if you're going to be carrying this around, especially at night, and maybe walking the dog or something like that. You can throw the lanyard on right there, and you'll be able to not have to worry if you drop the light for it to drop on the floor. So taking a look at the flashlight, again, this is the Wowtac A5. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's a little bit bigger than what I would normally carry, especially for an EDC flashlight, but it's not so big that you wouldn't be able to do so. Now, I think for my usage, and a lot of people tend to agree with me, is that this is a great flashlight for an EDC bag or a bailout bag to have inside of a bag because of all the features, but primarily because of the size. You're getting a lot of output, a lot of features on this light, but it's not a big flashlight, which is really nice. Again, 3,650 lumens on high, on the turbo, I should say. It's a great output on this light, but you do have a lot of other modes that they're very useful for different situations. So again, it is an aluminum body, which is really nice. It makes the flashlight light, and you do have some very functional knurling on the body of the flashlight here. I do like that. I like the fact that they include that, and ThruNite and Wowtac are really good at always doing that, and that's primarily because you never know what you're going to be doing with your flashlight. So if your hands are wet, you don't want it to be slippery, so slippery that it's going to slide out of your hands or anything like that. Because of the fact that this flashlight does roll, that's just something to keep in mind. You do have your tail cap here. There is no switch or anything on there, and that gives you access to the battery itself. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. They do include the battery battery, which is nice. And this is actually a really hefty battery. This is a 26650 3.7 volt 5000 milliamp battery. So again, it is a Wowtac branded battery. This is actually the first time that I've ever used a flashlight that has this battery as well. So I like the fact that they do include it, obviously, because it is rechargeable, so you don't have to worry about you know, having to purchase the battery or anything like that. One thing that I really wish they would add, but you know, or not add, but maybe again for a revision 2, is giving you a little bit more of a grip to on the back here. So you do have these kind of flat edges as you go through. And just to give you a little bit more grip if you do have to get into the battery. But again, that's not something that you should be doing often because the battery is rechargeable. So it's neither here or there. I mean, for me, when I went to get into the battery to look at it, it was a little hard at first just because it is kind of smooth. The knurling didn't go all the way to back here, but I just wanted to kind of point that out. You do have your one switch right here. It is a side switch. And then on the opposite end, you have the micro USB door, which I mentioned in the little kit there. You do have a replaceable one, so if something does happen to this one, that's where you plug it in right there, and you can go ahead and charge up the flashlight. Taking a look at the front of it, you do have your LED right in there in the middle, and then you have a orange peel reflector there. So again, and then a nice and smooth glass in the front. So really nice light altogether. I like the way that it fits in the hand, especially as you're using it. It's not too thin or too small where it's gonna, you know, slide out of your hands. I think it's a great size. You know, when I have it in my hand, my thumb just lines up perfectly right there with the light, and I can go on and use it. So I already talked about the modes. You do have a turbo mode of 3650 lumens. So going through the different modes, you have a low mode, so that's going to be 30 lumens. You have medium, which is 300 lumens. You have high, which is 1750 lumens, and then you have turbo, which is 3650 lumens. Now, besides that, you have two other modes. First one being a Firefly mode, and that's 0.3 lumens, and that's going to be good for 37 days. And then you have a strobe, which is 2100 lumens. Now, as I mentioned, this flashlight has a lot of different modes, which it's going to allow you to use it for a lot of different circumstances, especially that Firefly mode. So again, you have a flashlight that's putting out a lot of light, a lot of power out of it, but the fact that it can include that 0.3 lumens and that it's good for 37 days, I think that's awesome. Because again, it gives you the range to be able to use your light for a lot of different things. So if you're camping and you need a lot of light, then you know you go with the turbo. But if you just kind of want to light up the inside of the tent, or you're reading or something like that, you don't want to blind yourself in there, then 0.3 lumens with the Firefly is great. And then the other two, the low, the medium, and even the high, high of 1750 is actually a lot more light than a lot of flashlights that are out there in the market now. A lot of flashlights are kind of topping off at 1000, maybe 1100 or something like that. So again, really, really awesome range on this flashlight. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to roll in a couple of other flashlights for comparison purposes. And I just grabbed two lights that I've always gravitated towards. The first one being the kind of quintessential EDC flashlight. This is what a lot of people, especially in the EDC community and stuff like that, carry, or this type of flashlight, I should say. This is what they carry, and it's a light like this. So this is an 18650 battery flashlight. Again, it is rechargeable. This one just so happens to be from ThruNite. So this is the ThruNite TC12 V2. This is kind of like the preferred style flashlight that a lot of people like as far as for EDC purposes. Again, you do have your pocket clip right there. You have a tail cap switch on this one, and then a side switch also to kind of switch through the modes. But I wanted to show you guys, as far as size comparison, what that looks like next to the A5. So again, it is a little bit thinner because of the battery, but it is a little bit longer. So pros and cons. Obviously, this size, because it's a little thinner, it's easier to carry in the pocket. But not to say that you cannot carry the A5 in a pocket. I've actually been pocket carrying this as an add-on flashlight to my EDC. So just for testing purposes and things like that. But again, I wear cargo pants a lot of times, or pants that have extra pockets. So it lets me carry this with ease. So this is what a lot of people in the EDC community tend to gravitate towards, this style or this size of flashlight. So on the other end, I'll show you guys the flashlight that I've actually been carrying as my EDC flashlight, and it's this one here. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I prefer smaller kind of EDC flashlights. And again, this one just so happens to be from ThruNet. This is the ThruNet T1. I actually purchased this flashlight after watching a lot of reviews because I wanted something small and with a lot of output. So this flashlight has a high output of 1500 lumens. So 1500 lumens out of a small little battery here, or I should say out of a small little flashlight here with the battery included. Again, it is also USB rechargeable, which is great. You do have your pocket clip, deep right pocket clip, so it makes it really easy to carry in the pocket. Comparison with the TC12 V2, again, it's fairly similar as far as the width, but obviously a little less than half of the size. But when you compare it to the A5, obviously you will see a big difference. But again, the main difference comes out in the output. 1,500 lumens on the turbo on this versus 3,650 lumens on turbo on the A5. So that's where size does come into play. Bigger battery, bigger output, longer run times, smaller battery, less output, less run times, but it is a little bit more pocketable. But also the throw, if you guys see there, how deep that reflector or how deep that LED is inside, that's another big thing. This is going to give you a longer throw than this one right here because of the LED being further down there, and you have a longer reflector. So things to keep in mind. This is also a wider area versus this one here. But I just kind of wanted to throw those three or these two next to the A5, just so a comparison as far as size goes, and an explanation as far as how I would use them. This is obviously would be my go-to EDC flashlight. I would always gravitate towards something smaller with higher output versus this is what a lot of people tend to gravitate towards. It's thinner, it's longer, but again, 1100 lumens on the most output on this one versus 1500 lumens on the most output on that. So it's also a look into how things progress. This one is a lot older, or not, I should say a lot, but a little bit older than this one does. So technology, battery and things like that, they always improve on those things. So that's why I like reviewing companies like Wowtac and ThruNet, because they actually listen to feedback from not just reviewers, but also comments. So if you guys have any comments that you want to leave, especially because I am working with them, they did send this unit out to me to review it. They're going to be looking at the comments on the video and making suggestions is always great. They'll listen to those, and maybe in a second version or third version or something like that, they will include those changes if you guys suggest them. Now what I'll do is I'm going to take this guy outside so we can get a couple of beam shots so you can see how it performs in just regular everyday tasks. Alright guys, so we're outside now. I have my camera set up on my driveway, and we're kind of looking down the road that I live on. Now I live in an urban setting, so I don't have a lot of wooded areas that I can go and test these lights. So what I do is I test them more for urban environments as I'm maybe walking around my neighborhood. If I have a dog and I walk it around, I want to see what's in front of me. So for this testing, if you guys see on the right there is a mailbox. It's about 25 feet away. On the left, there's some bushes in front of that other car, and those are about anywhere from 40 to 50 feet. You do have some trees 40 to 50 feet away to the top of the right, and then those trees at the very back underneath that street light are about 100 feet away. So that's just so you guys can get a frame of reference for how far away everything is. Now before I get started, the light itself, again, you do have the side switch that controls everything. If you do press that, you have an LED which will let you know how much power you have on the battery. So depending on the color, this is a great visual representation of how much battery you have left. So again, the light is on, so you can easily see if you have to charge the battery or not. Right now I don't have to because it is blue. So let's go ahead and get started. Pressing the button, it's going to get you to the low mode. That is 30 lumens. Not a lot of light coming out of here, but again, this is perfect if you need to see right up close. As you guys can see, I'm kind of shining the sidewalk right in front of me. This will let me know if there's any cracks or anything like that. If I drop my keys, I can see them. And again, if I walk into a room and I don't want to light up the whole room, preserve night vision or something like that, I can go ahead and use this lumen. Or this output, I should say, which is 30 lumens and low. So if I leave the button pressed, it'll jump up to the next output. That's medium, and that's 300 lumens. Now 300 lumens is good for the majority of EDC tasks. As you guys can see, you see the car, you see the mailbox right there, you see the bushes across the street. Again, those bushes are 40 to 50 feet away. The trees right up here on the top right, those are about 40 to 50 feet away as well. But again, it's just pretty much lighting right in front of here. But for the majority of EDC purposes, purposes, 300 lumens is fine. Now, if I wait more than 3 seconds, if I press the button again, it's actually going to go down to low, back to medium, and then it's going to go up to high. So just keep that in mind. So I'll press the button, it goes down to low, back to medium, and now up to high. And now high is 1,750 lumens. As you guys can see it, you could pretty much see everything right in front of you there. The mailbox is perfectly in focus. You can easily see it. Those trees on the top right, the bushes on the left there, even going out to a couple houses down. So this is more than enough light that you would ever need for EDC purposes. But again, the beauty of this light is that it does give you a lot of different options. So from any mode, whether the light is on and you want to access the turbo, all you have to do is double click. And as you double click, you get that turbo output of 3,650 lumens. So you guys can tell it is lighting up those trees all the way in the back there, about 100 feet away, but everything right in front of me here is being lit up really nice. Now I'm holding it up over the camera so you guys can make it out a little bit better. Great output on this flashlight, which is definitely one of its key selling points. The fact that you have all those different outputs that are going to allow you to use it for the majority of things that you would need. Now, as you turn it off, it does have a memory, so it will come back on in whatever the last mode that you're using it on. There's a cat walking in front of us here. So I was using the high mode, so if I turn it back on, it's going to come back on high. So on the 3 basic modes, so low, medium, and high, if you turn it off, it will come back on in that particular mode. Now, the last 2 modes is you do have, again, a Firefly mode. So I'll show you guys here right in front of the camera. If you leave the button pressed, it's going to come on Firefly. Now this is 0.3 lumens. Now, obviously, it's not going to light up anything in front of you, but this is perfect to definitely prolong that battery life, get as much life out of it, so 37 days in the Firefly mode, and then definitely preserve your night vision. If you're inside of a tent or inside of a room and you want to read, you don't want to light up everything, you don't want the light bouncing off the book or something like that, then you can use that Firefly mode and not have to worry about it. Alright, so the last mode is your strobe. So if you turn the flashlight on, again, it's going to come on whatever the last mode that you use it. If you double click, you'll get to turbo, and if you double click again, you'll get to strobe. Again, strobe is 2,100 lumens. So this is perfect in a self-defense situation. If you need to disorient somebody or something like that, you can go ahead and use that, and then if you hit the button again, it'll turn off, and you can turn it back on. So again, very versatile flashlight for the size. You're getting a lot of different output options, and I can easily see using this light for pretty much whatever EDC purposes I would need. Alright guys, so we're back inside. So just to wrap up, as I mentioned, I think the A5 is a great flashlight. This would, for me, it would be a great EDC bag, bailout bag flashlight, secondary kind of backup flashlight, just to have something that has a lot of light coming out of it, but is very versatile. It ranges anywhere from 0.3 lumens on that Firefly, all the way up to more than 3,600 lumens, so 3650 lumens on the turbo. I think you have a great range on this light itself. A couple little things that I wish they would change, maybe add a pocket clip, just so if I do carry it in a bag, I can clip it into one of the pockets or something like that. That'll make it more sturdy. But if I do decide to carry it in like a cargo pocket or something like that, I want to make sure that I have it secured somewhere where I can just reach down and pull it out. So, it's ready to go in that sense. If not, then maybe adding the holster. I don't know if a lot of people use those, but if you are going to be using this as a dedicated bag light, then you can use that holster on the outside, maybe clip it onto Molly or something like that. And that way the flashlight is on the outside as opposed to on the inside of the bag. But either way, I think for the most part, again, for the price of the light and for what you're getting, is a great option. So if you guys are looking for something a little bit bigger than your standard EDC flashlight, but it's definitely going to give you a lot of output and it's going to be very versatile, I think the A5 from Wowtac is a great option. What I'll do is I'll leave a link below where you guys can pick it up if you guys are interested, or maybe you want to find out some more information on it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks.